What you're really seeing is these companies are trying to build AI capabilities that augment human performance and also human capabilities for that matter. AI has been around for a while actually. Like Sundar Pichai stood on stage in 2016 at our annual developer conference. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters more why you do it.
क्या जो हमारे emerging entrepreneurs हैं उनके लिए क्या opportunities हैं UK में?
Pakistan has so much potential and so much to offer, if I think in the space of IT and software in particular, right? I would prefer to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. Crypto as a currency for that is seeing volatility, both positive and negative in terms of how it's being traded. And just try it. Like if you fail, it makes no difference.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another episode of podcast series by Two Essence. This is your host Hira, and today we have a very special guest with us all the way from the UK. He has worked with Microsoft, he co-founded Meta, and now he's working with Google. Hashim Syed. Assalamu alaikum. Kya haal hai aapka?
Assalamu alaikum. First and foremost, thank you for having me. Really honored to be here with you all.
It's a pleasure hosting you here in Pakistan. How has your time been here in Pakistan?
Busy. मुझे लगता है जब whenever I come, there's always weddings, family engagements, different meetings going on. So, I tell people that I'm going on holiday. I feel more tired जब मैं इधर आता हूँ versus when I'm in London. So busy, but good busy.
Amazing. आप पाकिस्तान आते जाते रहते हैं.
जी.
What do you enjoy the most during your stay here in Pakistan?
I think honestly, things like this, right? When you get to meet with different entrepreneurial communities, business communities, and you really get to experience and feel what is happening in the local market and local economy, and then being able to add different kind of value, but also learn key insights and takeaways on how Pakistan is changing.
Mm-hmm. Hashim, could you tell us a bit about your journey from Pakistan to the UK to becoming Google's product lead?
So I was born in London. I grew up there. I also lived in the Netherlands for nearly 15 years of my childhood. And then I also spent time in the Middle East as well as in Islamabad. And I studied politics, philosophy, economics at university. And I realized quickly that I enjoy building. And that was building communities, building businesses, looking at new ideas. And so from there, I said, where can I really go and channel that? And I think having close roots to Pakistan, for me, meant I became really curious about the world, on how the world is changing, what are different leaders doing. So at university, I started to just experience and build a consulting organization to help students get real-world employability opportunities. And I think from there, that's when I also felt like, there's something happening within big tech. Like it's changing, businesses are going online, there's something new coming on. So that's where I started to turn away from the traditional paths of like banking, finance, law, etc. And I wanted to go into tech. And into tech, I first joined Meta, where I co-founded and co-led our first ever UK venture capital startup program, which was to help early stage companies accelerate their growth using Facebook advertising, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, etc. And then from there, I said, can I learn something a bit different? I went to Microsoft, where I did digital transformation of financial services, or uske baad now at Google, where it's a really fascinating place to be, where I sit in the middle between our clients and our engineering teams and looking at how do we take AI and help commercialize this to add value and profitable growth to our companies. And then alongside that, did a few different things in entrepreneurship within Pakistan, outside of Pakistan, and so on. So I think you have to just be curious and try things.
आपने इन 2 टेक जायंट्स के साथ काम किया, आपने माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के साथ काम किया, गूगल के साथ काम किया. क्या डिफरेंस फील हो इनकी अप्रोचेस में टू टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशन और एआई?
I think one thing that has been really consistent with them both is the idea of high performance. So at both companies, they're both pushing the boundaries for how AI, and in particular now generative AI, can be used. Whether it's Microsoft's Copilot or Google through Gemini, what you're really seeing is these companies are trying to build AI capabilities that augment human performance and also human capabilities for that matter. And one thing in particular that has been really interesting for me at Google is, every month, 1.7 billion photos are edited within Google Photos. So we have a new product out for consumers. It's called Magic Editor, where consumers and users on the Google Photos can now erase different images in the background that might be removing some of the focus on their key memory. I think that's amazing. And throughout the build and design of these products, there's just a consistent focus on why are we building this? What impact is it going to have? and how do we build it in a fair and responsible way. So, and I think throughout Microsoft, Google, and also and Meta for that matter, there's a consistent attitude towards high performance, remaining the focus on why are we doing this, what's the impact, and how do we do this in a fair and responsible way.
आपने काफ़ी स्पीकिंग engagements में part लिया, and out of all the speaking engagements, first of all, you are an amazing keynote speaker, a global keynote speaker. Which speaking engagement was a standout, or which one was the most challenging?
Ooh, buddy question. I think I've done a lot. It's been great. I think my favorite speaking engagement was my TEDx talk. I think for me that was different. It was less corporate, more personal, and I got to speak about something that I'm very passionate in, which is each of us has an inherent responsibility to deliver positive change to the world. That's what motivates me. That's what drives me to want to do things outside as a Pakistani, but also within Pakistan itself. And in particular, my TEDx talk was, how do we unlock our inner leader? Each of us has leadership capabilities. It does not come with titles. It comes through leading by example, emotional intelligence, and also just doing things with a smile. So I think my TEDx talk was a real new moment for me to be able to experience public speaking and also be able to have that impact. So I think that was my favorite. And I think it's got a lot of good views and good engagement back, so hopefully some change.
आपकी बहुत इंस्पायरिंग जर्नी रही है, फ्रॉम फाउंडिंग स्टार्टअप्स टू लीडिंग एआई ग्रोथ. इस पूरी जर्नी में इट मस्ट हैव अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंसेस टू शेयर. कौन से इस पूरी जर्नी में आपके, इफ़ यू कुड शेयर एनी सेटबैक्स और फेलियर्स और एनी लेसन्स यू हैव लर्नड?
Lots. I think in particular, failures wise, so a friend and I, we tried to launch a company within Web3. We had this idea that the future of the world would involve utility NFTs. That is, non-fungible tokens. How do we add memberships, events, ticketing to these NFTs? So we tried to launch a marketplace that connected consumers and brands, where consumers could go online, access utility NFTs, and then brands could then put those NFTs onto the marketplace. The value for consumers is you'd get additional royalties, additional value benefit from the NFT that you're purchasing, and part of membership. And then for brands and also content creators, you're building a real community around people that are purchasing your NFT beyond just purchasing a ticket. So we had this vision. We started building this product. We really were accelerating fast. Our MVP, myself and my co-founder, we established some good use cases with a lot of different brands, both in the UK and also in the Middle East and things. Like, I think one thing that we learned, a big lesson for us, was market, like timing with the market. This was like in 2022. And I think after that, we saw, crypto went like this and then boom, down, right? So ek din mein, our partners and our investors and things, like, we had a good business model, but the world around us just collapsed. And we spent a lot of time trying to pivot, look at new ways of thinking. How do we bring this back to life? But I think you also have to accept that sometimes it's not meant to be in that moment. And so we decided not to pursue the venture further. And we don't look at that as failure. We look at that as learning, right? Like, that is, you have to play to the market, but you're also trying to create a new market. And sometimes things are just out of your control. And then we ended up pivoting and going into different fields, though. It was a really good learning experience of how do you work with the market and different things happening in that space.
Hashim, speaking of challenges, AI-driven growth में there are ethical considerations, and it's important to keep them aligned with what you are working with. So आप मुझे बताएं कि we have leaders here who are trying to achieve balance between their ethical growth and sustainable growth. What advice do you have for such leaders?
I think the first thing, and we take this on ourselves as well, is ensuring you're delivering AI for good, right? That is, how is it what you're building is going to add a positive value to your consumers, to your business partners, to the world around you, and that's something we take very, very seriously. I think the second thing there for a lot of leaders is focusing on profitable growth. I think the era of, and I experience this both as myself as a founder, but also now sitting on the other side, when I meet a lot of different founders, both in London and also here, all of our conversations around profitable growth. Like, how do we build a business model that actually has commercial value? And by that, I mean, what's the annual recurring revenue rate? How many partners do we have? What kind of product are we building? Is it sustainable both as a business, but also then on lifestyle? And I think a lot of founders, and coming from that background as well, it's really important to make sure that you're looking after yourself as well as your business. So the idea of high performance, the idea of mental reflection, thinking back on your failures and success, and really challenging that. So I think it's important to do AI for good. How you adding positive value to the world? And then second, the focus on business commerciality. And finally, making sure you are looking after yourself, right? We don't want endless burnout where you go like this up and down. You need to find a sustainable medium in that.
And if we speak about future of technology, we have two important aspects. We have marketing, we have customer engagement, और AI दोनों को reshape कर रहे हैं,
जी
marketing strategies को change कर रहे हैं. So if we talk about that, आज से 5 साल बाद 10 साल बाद क्या future आपको नज़र आता है customer engagement का या marketing का with AI?
Oh, what's the future? So I think within AI, and it's really interesting working at a place like Google because AI has been around for a while actually. Like Sundar Pichai stood on stage in 2016 at our annual developer conference and said we are entering a AI age. And previously it was just called automation. It's just been rebranded into this new field of artificial intelligence. The one area that particularly interests me is generative AI. That is the output, that is the machines outputting something new, whether it's text, image, video. And we're seeing this transform into multimodal capabilities where we are now seeing all of this come out into one. And if I then take that and say, what does the future of marketing look like in particular? I think it'll be more hyper-personalization at scale, right? Consumers have more preferences, more choices than ever before. It's even more important now for brands to meet the consumer where they are both emotionally, but also in their purchase life cycle. Second, I think it's going to be predictive analytics at a different level. It's as a data duality issue, right? You have too much data, then you have too little data. And it's very important to, one, safeguard that and manage it in a responsible way. But how do businesses use that is going to be a big topic. And I think the third thing which really excites me within generative AI marketing is, there's a whole new, I think, medium of experience that's been created through like Vision Pro. We're going to interact with the world in a very different way going forward than we have done, right? 20 years ago, at the dawn of the computing PC era to then smartphones to now we're in the AI age, and maybe the future is we'll all be wearing, headsets and things. So uska kya matlab hota hai, and what does that mean for the industry? I think it's an exciting space for a lot of business leaders and founders.
Mhm. And being a valedictorian, first of all, is an amazing accomplishment, माशाल्लाह. हमारे स्टूडेंट जिनका फोकस ही ये है, वो कैसे अचीव कर सकते हैं?
I think, look, I think for me, I tell myself I haven't achieved anything yet. I genuinely believe that I'm just starting out. I'm like 1% done is something I like to tell myself. And I genuinely believe that. So I think for students today, I think the most important thing is you have to find your why. Why are you doing something? What motivates you? How do you channel that into productive outcomes? So for me at university, it was I wanted to help students get employability opportunities because I was sick of this idea that you need experience to get experience. I was like, I'm going to make my own experience. And that came out through the form of my consulting organization, which then helped propel me to, deliver the valedictorian speech, because what I was trying to get out, my key message there is, it doesn't matter what you do. It matters more why you do it, because that is what's going to motivate you. That's what's going to drive you. That's what's going to keep you both at peace, but also keep you like relentless and focused on the bigger picture. So I think for students today, it's really important to find that why and then channel that into the world.
That's a valuable advice on academic excellence. हाशिम, मुझे बताएं कि जो हमारे पाकिस्तानी बच्चे हैं, पाकिस्तानी यूथ हैं, अगर वो इस बात को फॉलो करना चाहें तो what guidance should they get from you in terms of education, in terms of networking opportunities or skill development?
I think, I was, in my last trip to Pakistan, I got to speak at a couple of different institutions and things. And one thing which I'm always amazed by students here and also the entrepreneurial community is just a sense of fearlessness, right? Now more than ever, students, entrepreneurs, anyone that has a vision has more tools than ever before to experience and find that vision. So I think one is like being curious technically and commercially. So like, what additional courses, what additional certifications, what additional connections can you make? And then channeling that into your business, into your entrepreneurial path. And I think that's the key advice I have, is that find your why and then find areas where you have strengths, where there might be technically building something, it might be public speaking, it might be partnerships, it might be, product design. Supercharge that by doing more of it. And where you have your weaknesses, find courses, accreditations, connections, that mentors that can help you build that up. And I think that's a really good path for people to take.
Let's talk about the Magic Mountain app. क्या इंस्पिरेशन थी इसके पीछे? कैसे ज़हन में आया कि okay, we should blend health and wellness with technology?
So merely, I think Magic Mountain was interesting. I grew up fat. I've always felt obese, not just by a metric, but by an internal feeling. And at that time, the problem that I was feeling was that people don't like motivation; they like habit. How do you help people build healthy habit? And that was through technology, where you give people a gamified experience where they can come into an app, connect, compete, collaborate through physical challenges. And you're logging your movement in this app. You're trying to beat the common goal, but then you're playing with your friends as well. Then there's a social experience through photo sharing, etc. So हमारे लिए ये था कि that we wanted to give people that experience and that accountability partner. So we did this through B2C side, where we worked with a lot of different consumers across like 20 different countries, etc. Getting them into the app, getting them into this ecosystem, but really helping them find their habit building for movement. And movement could also mean walking, just 30 minutes a day. It could be competing for a competition. It could just be even going for a swim, going for a walk, etc. And then we did this for corporates, where I was like, a lot of corporates and people that are working are always sitting down. Everything is done sitting down. Why is that? And I said, the problem that people face is that your most junior person doesn't want to leave their desk because they feel, I need to sit here because my boss is still here. So we said, okay, what if we did a corporate challenge where you had your CEOs, your top executive brass, that's also now going for a walk, going for some movement. That should then enable the most junior person as well to do the same thing. So we did this for consumers, we did this for corporates, and it was an amazing journey, right? Like, we worked with a lot of different partners around the globe, and the app was acquired in the end. And it was a fantastic time, and I really loved it, all of it.
You are accelerating startups in the UK. Hashim, क्या जो हमारे emerging entrepreneurs हैं उनके लिए क्या opportunities हैं UK में?
I think lots, right? Like, Pakistan has so much potential and so much to offer, if I think in the space of IT and software in particular, right? And design, actually, like product design. And as an export-led economy, I would really encourage founders, entrepreneurs to, one, make those connections with people abroad, because a lot of people have an altruistic belief to want to give back and help. And then, two, find use cases, right? What is the unique use case that you can offer from here? Could be within software, could be within IT, could be in anything right now, that you can then work with foreign companies to give them that value back, right? And I think that's research, that's connections, but that's also value add. And I think the real important thing is deliverable. Like, actually delivering the output will get you more input to then get more output. So I think find the use case is super valuable.
अच्छा, आप पाकिस्तानी स्टार्टअप्स को भी मेंटोरिंग आप कर रहे हैं, तो यहाँ पे आपने अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ देखी, यहाँ पे आपने चैलेंजेस देखे, पाकिस्तानी इकोसिस्टम के क्या डायनामिक्स हैं?
I think Pakistani dynamics are very interesting, right? Like, three mentors that come to mind for me within this ecosystem, Arif Iqbal at LAM, Alina Nadeem, Ali Farid, for example. Like, those guys I particularly resonate with because, they came with foreign experience and they're building here. But even also a lot of the homegrown founders in particular, they're really challenging the status quo. And I think, like I said before, right, like what I love about the Pakistani ecosystem is the sense of fearlessness, that it doesn't matter what's happening around you, they just build and they just try stuff. And I think that needs to continue to persevere and just go with the flow, where you are finding new use cases, you're challenging the status quo, you're saying, what are the existing business models? Where can I disrupt that? But also, where can I augment that? Might be through software, might be through IT, might be through logistics, trucking, whatever. I think that's the key, is like, find the unique use case that you have to offer.
You co-founded Meta Venture Capital Program. I was going through it. What inspired its creation? How did it benefit startups?
Merely the reason I wanted to launch the UK venture capital startup program at Meta was I just always wanted to help founders, right, and entrepreneurs, and I realized that particularly new companies and new founders, it was too complicated, it's too difficult, it was too expensive to advertise on Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, etc. So for me, it was like, how can I build a program? How can I build something unique, a value proposition that helps these founders get to market quicker? And honestly, for me, it was the mantra I had was ask for it's better. I would prefer to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And that was, I'm just going to go to market, find some founders, find some investors, sell them my pitch of here's how I think I can help you accelerate the growth of your portfolio companies through advertising, through product, through ecosystem days, and just see what happens. And this started off really as like Hashim's project, and then it became into a full-scale, fully-fledged program. But it just came from my desire to want to help companies and help founders.
Let's talk about something else. आपने यूटिलिटी NFTs को यहाँ पाकिस्तान में इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया. यू वर एन एडवोकेट फॉर दैट. उसके अलावा कंज्यूमर ब्रांड्स, ये दो एक अलग दुनिया है. व्हाट डू यू थिंक कुड बी द फ्यूचर ऑफ दीज टू वर्ड्स?
I think blockchain has a lot of use cases, right? Like decentralized finance is finding its place right now. Crypto as a currency for that is seeing volatility, both positive and negative in terms of how it's being traded. The Web3 ecosystem, I think, is going through this phase where, it went through popular growth, and you see a lot of people just jumped in, myself included. But I think now we'll find a place of maturity, whether that's through commercial use case, individual use case, software applications. I think it's still going through that phase. I think that it's also an attractive time then if you identify a use case, go build in that field. And I think Web3 needs to find its place in the world right now.
Hashim, reflecting on your journey, what are the few things you would encourage the next generation to do in their journeys?
Reflecting on my journey, what are the few things I'd encourage people to do looking forward? I think big one for me is, I think, be relentless. There's so much opportunity in the world. There's a lot of problems, right? Not everything. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of problems, which means go solve. I've never felt more excited, more energized by the world. I look around, I see opportunity, I see problems, and I'm like, oh, I have an idea in this, I have an idea in that, I could do this, I could do that. And I think that's where like focus comes in, knowing what do you want to solve and what opportunity you want to go after. And the second thing for that is just be relentless and just try it. Like if you fail, it makes no difference, right? People might say something and you might look at yourself like, but you should look at it as learning. Like failure is learning, actually, if you apply it properly. And I think for the leaders of tomorrow and of today, find that focus and be relentless in how you go and change the world.
Hashim, you have shared amazing insights into your leadership journey, into AI technology. Thank you so much for inspiring our youth, our startup founders, our students. Any key to action for our audience?
Have fun. Honestly, I think life is exciting. It's full of opportunities and full of problems, but have fun whilst you do it.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Jazakallah.